You're about to watch what we call an extended clip of the Young Turks, and the reality is it's somewhere in the middle. It's a little longer than our YouTube clips, but it's actually shorter than the whole 2-hour show, which you can get if you're a member. You can get it ad-free, and make sure you catch every news story we do that day. You're gonna love it as a full show. That's at tytnetwork.com/join. All right, welcome to the Young Turks. Huge day ahead for you guys. In an hour, we're going to do Bernie Sanders' town hall event. That is CEOs versus workers. It's about corporate power in America. Super relevant. We're going to have myself, Anna Kasparian, and Francesca Fiorentini from, you might remember her from AJ Plus. And we're all going to cover it together, and we're going to have extra coverage for our members as well. After the analysis that we do for all of you right here after the town hall. So stay right here, tyt.com/live to see all the things that are live, tyt.com/join to become a member to get the extra coverage. Amazing show ahead for you guys. I don't know how I'm gonna fit it all in. Trump makes a mess of it in Russia. It's just one of the most embarrassing spectacles, even Republicans saying that. And then unfortunately, we have discrimination galore in this country. Sacha Baron Cohen embarrasses Republicans. It's hilarious. I got a lot to get to. Let's go over here and get started. Okay. So Donald Trump has been on a trip to Europe. You know that he went and met with NATO, then he went to the UK, and now, of course, he's having a summit with the Russians. I'm going to show you a couple of things that happened on that trip that are amazing, and I don't think have gotten enough coverage. So first, let's go back a little bit to before he went to the UK, he was asked about Brexit. This is one of my favorite videos. It gives you an excellent sense of what Donald Trump is all about. And I'm curious if you're a Trump supporter at the end of the videos, you still think he's smart, because that would be amazing. And then I'll have other quotes for you as well. But let's get started. He was asked about Brexit. Let's take a look.
Yes. And Brexit, sorry, sir, because you are going to the UK. What will be your message on Brexit?
Well, Brexit is, I've been reading a lot about Brexit over the last couple of days, and it seems to be turning a little bit differently, where they're getting at least partially involved back with the European Union. I have no message. It's not for me to say. I own a lot of property there. I'm going to Scotland while I wait for the meeting. I have Turnberry in Scotland, which is a magical place, one of my favorite places. I'm going there for 2 days while I wait for the Monday meeting. But it's not for me to say what they should be doing in the UK. I have great friendships. My mother was born in Scotland. I have great friendships over there. We have a wonderful ambassador, Woody Johnson. And he's doing, by the way, Woody's doing a great job. But it's not for me to say. I'd like to see him be able to work it out so it could go quickly, whatever they work out.
If that was a book report, your teacher would have told you to start over again. I asked you about Brexit and your views on it, not your golf courses, not your mommy, not your ambassador that you're obviously using to stall because you don't know anything about it. Second of all, saying when you're president of the United States, I've been reading a lot about Brexit over the last couple of days. It's not impressive. You should have known about Brexit before the last couple of days. But he's bragging that I did a little piece of my homework. I found out what Brexit was. And did he really read a lot about Brexit over the last 2 days? Of course not. And nobody asked you about your golf courses. Can you for 1 second focus on policy as the president of the United States? You're supposed to be representing us. We don't give a damn about your golf courses that you're trying to shill here. But mainly he's just trying to evade the answer. It gets worse and worse. If you thought he knew what Brexit was or anything with nuance like hard Brexit, well, he's gonna get asked. Let's find out if he does.
Is it heartbreaking?
Hard Brexit.
Oh, hard Brexit, I see.
Nothing about Iraq.
I thought you said it was heartbreaking.
About Iraqi issues.
I said that might be going a little bit too far, right? Heartbreaking. Is it heartbreaking? A lot of things are heartbreaking. No, I would say that Brexit is Brexit. It's not like I guess when you use the term hard Brexit, I assume that's what you mean. The people voted to break it up. So I would imagine that's what they'll do, but maybe they're taking a little bit of a different route. So I don't know if that's what they voted for.
Yeah, Brexit is to exit the European Union. That's the most basic thing in the world. He asked you about hard Brexit, and I get you were joking around about heartbreaking because you didn't know what the hell hard Brexit was. I don't mind the joking around. I'm not a stickler for that stuff. Do you have any opinion on what hard Brexit is? You don't know what it is. You're an embarrassment. You don't know anything. Like they want to. I guess they want to break it up. My favorite part though was if you noticed it. This is such a Trump thing, and it's what a kid does when he doesn't know anything. Watch.
Brexit is Brexit.
Brexit is Brexit. Correct. Brexit is Brexit. I'll give you that one. Well, that is really clarifying. I'm glad you elucidated that for us, because I didn't know what Brexit was until you told me that Brexit is in fact Brexit. Oh, okay. We're not done yet with the idiocy. It continues rolling downhill.
I just want the people to be happy. They're great people, and I do think sure there'll be protests, because there are always protests, but I think there were protests the night of the election both ways. But in the end, we got 306 electoral votes. And one state that, is interesting, one of the states we won, Wisconsin. I didn't even realize this until fairly recently. That was the one state that Ronald Reagan didn't win when he ran the board. His second time, he didn't win Wisconsin, and we won Wisconsin. So, we had a great night.
Nobody asked you about your own election. He's such a pathological narcissist. We had a great night on the elections. Protests are protests. Brexit is Brexit. But let me tell you about me, okay? And you have it wrong for the third straight time. Reagan won Wisconsin. I don't like Reagan, but he won Wisconsin. He lost Minnesota because Walter Mondale's from Minnesota. That was his home state. That was the only state Reagan lost in '84. This is the third time he's repeated that. But that shows you, not only is he a moron and completely uneducated, that's such a basic fact. If you're a plumber and you don't know that, that's okay. If you're the president bragging about it, and this is the third time you've gotten it wrong publicly, he has no ability to be embarrassed. But the dangerous part is that no one in his inner circle can pull him aside and go, Mr. Trump, it's a little awkward, but it was Minnesota, not Wisconsin. Because he'd be like, what do you mean? Of course it was Wisconsin, you're fired. You're fired. How dare you correct me? So the moron keeps saying it's Wisconsin when it wasn't Wisconsin. All right, so far has he answered anything about policy? Anything at all? Any of you MAGA guys, are you proud yet? This buffoon doesn't know anything, but we haven't even gotten to the worst part. Here you go.
Protests, there might be protests, but I believe that the people in the UK, Scotland, Ireland, as you know, I have property in Ireland, I have property all over. I think that those people, they like me a lot, and they agree with me on immigration. And I think that's why you have Brexit in the first place, because of immigration.
Ireland is not in the United Kingdom. He's the president. Let's show him maps, because apparently he likes pictures, won't pay attention unless you show him pictures in the memos. Let's go to graphic 7 here. This is a rudimentary map of the United Kingdom. You see, Ireland is not part of it. Northern Ireland is. If he'd said Northern Ireland, okay, maybe, right? Let's show you a picture of Ireland. See, that's the country next to the United Kingdom. But I have great golf courses in Ireland. They asked you about Brexit. I have great golf courses in Scotland and Ireland. When do we move on to the next part of the book report? Did I tell you about my mommy yet? Oh, monumentally, preposterously stupid. The people, the people in the UK, they like me. They like me a lot because of my stance on immigration. Let me show you a poll. Britons with unfavorable view of Donald Trump. 77%. Why do you think there was massive, giant protests? I got news for you, Donald. They don't like you. They kind of hate you. They think you're an imbecile, and they're absolutely correct. So wait, I got one more quote that I'm going to read to you guys, but first let's go to another video, because if he just left it at I don't know anything, okay. We have an idiot for a president. But no, he's going to do more damage. In another part of the trip, after going to the UK, he declares that the European Union, along with Canada and Mexico, our top allies, are actually our enemies. What? Okay, let's watch.
Well, I think we have a lot of foes. I think the European Union is a foe, what they do to us in trade. Now, you wouldn't think of the European Union, but they're a foe. Russia's a foe in certain respects. China's a foe economically, certainly. They're a foe.
It's not what you're supposed to say as president, to call our allies our foes. The Germans put out a statement saying it is obvious we cannot rely on the White House anymore.
We need to talk about a relatively new show called the Republic, or UNFTR. As a Young Turks fan, you already know that the government, the media, and corporations are constantly peddling lies that serve the interests of the rich and powerful. But now there's a podcast dedicated to unraveling those lies, debunking the conventional wisdom. In each episode of the Republic, or UNFTR, the host delves into a different historical episode or topic that's generally misunderstood or purposely obfuscated by the so-called powers that be, featuring in-depth research, razor-sharp commentary, and just the right amount of vulgarity. The UNFTR podcast takes a sledgehammer to what you thought you knew about some of the nation's most sacred historical cows. But don't just take my word for it. The New York Times described UNFTR as consistently compelling and educational, aiming to challenge conventional wisdom and upend the historical narratives that were taught in school. For as the great philosopher Yoda once put it, you must unlearn what you have learned. And that's true whether you're in Jedi training or you're uprooting and exposing all the propaganda and disinformation you've been fed over the course of your lifetime. So search for UNFTR in your podcast app today and get ready to get informed, angered, and entertained all at the same time.
Meaning, okay, if you think we're the enemy, I guess we'll go trade elsewhere. I guess we'll look for alliances elsewhere because you're driving everyone away with your stupidity. You shouldn't talk about that in the context of trade and mixing that up with national security and calling our allies our enemies. And then you go at the end and do a kiss-ass conference with Putin while you're calling the European Union our foes. It's madness. Now, in that video, you saw it for yourself. He also mentioned Russia and China. But just have a little bit of common sense so that you can say, hey, the European Union is our great ally. We have some disagreements over trade. That would require a tiny percent of sophistication and nuance. All right, and then finally, he's talking to Piers Morgan when he lands in the UK. And here's these quotes, which are gems. MAGA guys, again, put on the red hat, be so proud that this is your leader. Man, if your leader is this stupid, what are you? Okay, so here we go. We would make a great deal with the United Kingdom, he says, because they have a product that we like. I mean, they have a lot of great product. They make phenomenal things. You know, you have different names. You can say England, you can say UK, you can say United Kingdom. So many different, you have so many different names. Great Britain. I always say, which one do you prefer, Great Britain? You understand what I'm saying? No. Even Piers Morgan, who did a fawning interview, did not understand what you were saying. So he asked, Great Britain and the United Kingdom aren't exactly the same thing. Awkward. So Trump answers, right, yeah. I know, but a lot of people don't know that. But you have lots of different names. The fact is, you make great product. You make great things. Even your farm product is so fantastic. Well, I don't know if he knows the difference between the United Kingdom and Great Britain and England. I don't know if he knows that Ireland is not part of the country. But I do know he thinks you make good product, even good farm product. Well, I guess problem solved. Every time I think of those MAGA guys, I think this is what you're proud of? Amazing. Enjoy. Okay, now I'm moving. Speaking of MAGA, let's go to their hats. I love this story. Okay. So you guys have all seen the MAGA hats, right? Make America Great Again. They're red. They decided to put away the brown shirts and go to red hats. It's good, but you got to have some sort of article of clothing that distinguishes you. I get it. Here, we can show you a picture of it from Incredible Gifts. That is one of the folks who sells the MAGA hats in bulk, and they've sold a lot of it. You guys are familiar with this, obviously. The company's owner is David Lassoff, and he said David Lassoff said that the company has sold a few 100,000 MAGA hats since Trump announced his candidacy in June of 2015. Well, that's a lot of hats. Okay, good for them. But there's a recent problem. Well, let's look into it. ABC News reports the new tariffs announced against China on Thursday would hit $200 billion worth of Chinese imports, especially consumer goods, including the popular hats sported by the Trump supporters around the nation. Oh, that's awesome. His own tariffs are going to hurt the MAGA hat prices because they're made in China. Now look, let's be fair. The official MAGA hats that you can get from the Trump campaign are made in America and they are more expensive. But that's why a lot of his fans have been going to the retailers like this, or in this case, Lassoff's company, Incredible Gifts. Look, that's my second plug for them. But it doesn't matter, they're about to get a lot more expensive. And they want to get cheaper hats. So you could get it from the official store, but they don't want to pay that price. They want to pay a lower price. Oops, now your lower price is going to be gone. Price of the hat, according to The Hill, could double from between $9 and $12 to at least $20 if he's forced to abandon his Chinese manufacturers and make the hats in the United States. The hat, David Lassoff said, is his website's best-selling item. Now let's dive a little bit more into why it's going to cost more. He says, Lassoff says, we usually sell the MAGA hats for around $9 to $12, but it could go to $20 if we had to make them in the US and embroider them here. There might be a limited quantity of hats in the future. We're trying to make sure we have enough hats in stock now, so if things change, we're prepared. So hilarious on a couple of fronts. First of all, you might see less MAGA hats because they just might not make as many of them. Awesome. It'll be ironically because of Donald Trump's tariffs. Awesome. And I like that they're trying the old gun trick too. The gun lobby says, oh my God, the Democrats are gonna take your guns away. Okay, so you better hurry up and buy more guns. So Lassoff is clearly going, I mean, Trump is so stupid. He's gonna make the hats so expensive I can't sell them. So you better grab them right away while I still have them at this price. I see you, I see you. All right, gets better. Lassoff said his company is thinking about importing goods from Vietnam to avoid the proposed tariffs. Well, I guess that'll solve it. Make Vietnam great again, okay? Of course we're not gonna make it in America, don't be ridiculous, okay? Ivanka doesn't make any of her stuff in America. Most of the Trump organization has deals international. They don't make stuff here in America. You think we're gonna make it in America? No, if he puts a tariff on China, we're just gonna move it to Vietnam. But we're not done with all the ironies and hypocrisies. Last one, Lassoff said he also hopes big online retailers like Amazon and Walmart will lobby against the proposed tariffs on behalf of smaller companies that use their platforms. Oof, that might have broken a record for irony. Your hat prices might double if you support Donald Trump because of Donald Trump's policies. So the guys selling the hats want to use lobbyists, the swamp, and giant corporations to fight back against Donald Trump's own policies. So the guys making the MAGA hat are like, we will fight Donald Trump on your behalf by using lobbyists from big corporations. Make America great again? Enjoy that irony while you wear the hat. Okay, I gotta take a break. When we come back, Trump, a disaster, a total catastrophe in Russia. We have that for you when we return. All right, back on the Young Turks. No time for comments yet. We'll read them later in the program. And remember, in just a little bit at the top of the hour, Bernie Sanders is going to do a town hall on corporate power. We're going to cover it live for you right here, so you don't have to go anywhere. And we'll also have analysis and commentary afterwards. All right, let's go over here and give you more news. All right, there's one thing I know. Donald Trump thinks that immigration is bad, and in fact, it's even ruining Europe. I know that because he tweets it all the time, including this one, but he's done it at least half a dozen times. He tweeted, we don't want what is happening with immigration in Europe to happen with us. Wow, okay, that's really apparently disastrous. And he talks about how immigrants have changed the culture of Europe for the worse. So you don't want the immigrants in there, it'll change things. Now, France seems to be doing rather okay in at least some areas, one being the World Cup. They just won the World Cup. So, la bleu, vive la France, right? But I'm sure that they kept their quote unquote culture, as the right wing keeps referring to it, both in that country and in our country and all over Europe. intact, right? They probably didn't have any immigrants at all because the superior culture, according to these racists, is the white nationalist culture. But we'll find out about that in a second. But this has been around a long time. Remember back when France won their first World Cup in 1998, we can show you what their team looked like. It was also very multicultural. They had players who were either them or their parents were born in Africa, and some who were Arab. In fact, Zinedine Zidane, arguably the best player in the world, but if not the best, certainly in the top 5, an Arab Muslim was the best player on France and critical in winning that World Cup, and that drove the right wing crazy back then. In fact, people like Jean-Marie Le Pen had said, called the team Black, Blanc, et Beur, and what that means is black, white, and Arab. And of course they use that phrase derisively. So sometimes people will call me brown and go, I got you, right? I don't care. Okay, you correctly deduced my skin color. So black, white, and Arab doesn't have to be derisive at all, but they use it that way, and it was an insult. Okay, they're insulted, except they won the World Cup, so apparently that combination works. But of course, the right wing didn't learn from that. And in fact, his daughter, Marie Le Pen, who's now a popular politician in the right wing in France, as late as 2010 said that she was worried about immigrants being on the French national team because they have, quote, another nationality in their hearts.
At TYT, we frequently talk about all the ways that big tech companies are taking control of our online lives, constantly monitoring us and storing and selling our data. But that doesn't mean we have to let them. It's possible to stay anonymous online and hide your data from the prying eyes of big tech. And one of the best ways is with ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN hides your IP address, making your active ID more difficult to trace and sell to advertisers. ExpressVPN also encrypts 100% of your network data to protect you from eavesdroppers and cyber criminals. And it's also easy to install. A single mouse click protects all your devices. But listen, guys, this is important. ExpressVPN is rated #1 by CNET and Wired magazine. So take back control of your life online and secure your data with a top VPN solution available, ExpressVPN. And if you go to expressvpn.com/TYT, you can get 3 extra months for free with this exclusive link just for TYT fans. That's expressvpn.com/TYT. Check it out today.
Now, of course, she had no evidence of that and at all, but come on, they're not white. So they're immigrants. Of course they have another nationality in their hearts. So they can't be loyal to France. I don't hear a lot of them talking now because now France has won its 2nd World Cup. And with this team, the 2018 team is massively diverse and filled with immigrants. And so all of a sudden, even the right wing in France is kind of quiet. I'd love for someone to ask Donald Trump about it. Do you think it's ruined France's culture to have those immigrants in? And gotten worse results for the country? Seems like they got far better results. Now, to give you a sense of how many of the players are immigrants, 19 of its 23 players are immigrants or the children of immigrants. 19 out of 23, I did the math, that's 82.6%. And by the way, a great number of those are also Muslims. So what happened? I thought that multiculturalism was bad in all regards. I thought it was gonna ruin the country. Turns out it doesn't ruin the country. Multiculturalism adds to the country. And why is the right wing quiet, at least for now, in France? Because, and this is what they were worried about, because sports, okay, thank you. Because sports brings people together and it gives you a national identity and it's tied in with your national identity. So they didn't want people in France rooting for blacks, Arabs, Muslims, and immigrants. Too bad for you. They did, and it turns out they had spectacular success. And so now all the people in France are proud of that team because it turns out, yes, multiculturalism works. I guarantee you that if you look in the comment section below, you'll see people making racist comments about how some people are good at just athletics. And then you'll say, well, hey, have they not made a contribution in culture in other ways, whether it's cuisine or arts? Well, they're good at that too, but that's just dancing and music and eating and sports. And then, well, how about all the professors and all the other people in the other realms? Yeah, but those are just like small cases, but the this and but that. And then, do you think France would have been world champions without immigrants? Inconceivable. And it didn't make France weaker, it made France stronger. Vive la France. Okay, now we go to Russia. Okay, this is gonna be a doozy. So Donald Trump went to go have a summit with Vladimir Putin. He did this in Helsinki, and right before he went, he began the tweeting. Now, you know that there was just indictments handed out by Special Counsel Robert Mueller saying that yes, in fact, the DNC, the Hillary Clinton's campaign, John Podesta, et cetera, were hacked by 12 Russian agents. And all the Republicans and officially the White House has acknowledged, yes, that's true. They didn't say that they cooperated with Donald Trump or that Donald Trump cooperated with them, but the Russians did do it. No question about it. Well, Trump nonetheless tweets, our relationship with Russia has never been worse, thanks to many years of US foolishness and stupidity, and now the rigged witch hunt. Look, you can defend yourself and say, hey, I didn't do it. This report says the Russians interfered, but I didn't talk to them and I didn't ask them to interfere. He kind of did so publicly, but you could at least say that that was joking, right? But no, he says the whole investigation is foolishness and stupidity. The investigation was not just about did they do social media and fake news and Facebook, et cetera. No, it was also, and the stealing of the emails, et cetera. But they also tried to get into our voter databases. That's messing with our actual votes. Luckily, they didn't make it in as far as we know. The investigation says, but they tried. They tried to get into the voter databases in a huge number of states. And so shouldn't you be concerned about that? What if they get in next time and rig the vote against you? What if they rig it against your party, or what if the Chinese come in and rig it even better? Like, this is something that is obviously should be a concern to the President of the United States and our national security and our democracy. But he's like, no, it's foolishness and stupidity. Do you represent us or not? So what does Russia do? They're almost trolling, they're like laughing. Look at the puppet that we have. So they retweet what Trump did and they add, we agree. Well, I'm glad that his boss agrees. He must be so proud. Russia interferes in our election, not just with stupid tweets, but tries to break into the voter data and to the ballot box. And Trump's like, oh, it's our fault, it's our fault. What happened? I thought you didn't like apology tours. Oh, you didn't like it, wait till you get a load of this one. They meet for 2 hours. First of all, when the Trump team is asked, what is the meeting about? They literally say, the leaders will decide that once they're in the meeting. You're gonna go meet with, whether you consider them ally, foe, something in between, you're gonna meet with one of the most important leaders in the world and you have no agenda? No, that means you have an agenda you don't want to tell us about. So God knows what was said in that room, because it was just the two of them with interpreters, and that's it. Because Trump did not want anyone else to hear what was going on. So they come out and do a press conference afterwards, and it gets way worse. So let's begin the madness. First, a journalist asked him about the tweets. Let's watch.
Mr. President, you tweeted this morning that it's US foolishness, stupidity, and the Mueller probe that is responsible for the decline in US relations with Russia. Do you hold Russia at all accountable for anything in particular? And if so, what would you consider them that they are responsible for?
So excellent question. You call it a witch hunt, foolishness, stupidity. Just give me an opportunity here to say, hey, yeah, but I am a little concerned about this. At least a little? Or let's see what his answer is.
Yes, I do. I hold both countries responsible. I think that the United States has been foolish. I think we've all been foolish. We should have had this dialogue a long time ago. a long time, frankly, before I got to office. And I think we're all to blame. I think that the United States now has stepped forward along with Russia, and we're getting together, and we have a chance to do some great things.
We're all to blame? Could you imagine if the Russians were accused of breaking into Republican emails and into the voter boxes to help Hillary Clinton? And Hillary Clinton came out and said, well, I don't know, I guess we're all to blame. I mean, yes, America's been very foolish. And if the Russians tried to rig an election, I guess it's also America's fault. Heads would have exploded. It would have exploded. And by the way, to be fair, they're exploding today. Even a lot of conservatives are speaking out, saying, John McCain saying it's the low point for the American presidency. Former Congressman Joe Walsh, deeply right wing. He's super proud of being Tea Party. He says, that's it, I'm never gonna support Trump again. This is borderline traitorous activity. I don't think he even included the word borderline. So you're gonna blame America first? That's amazing, that's amazing. But we're just getting started, here's more.
I do feel that we have both made some mistakes. I think that the probe is a disaster for our country. I think it's kept us apart. It's kept us separated. There was no collusion at all. Everybody knows it. People are being brought out to the fore.
The probe was a disaster. The probe concluded that the Russians did in fact meddle in our elections. Every single intelligence agency agrees. A grand jury just indicted based on that information. For 1 second, put yourself aside, even if you're the narcissist that you are, Donald Trump. They're asking you a question about, do you think they try to interfere with the votes? Something that couldn't be more fundamental to our democracy. I think it's foolishness, and the probe's a witch hunt. So, okay, you're basically saying, yeah, go for it. Anytime you want, come in, do anything you like to our elections, have at it. Russia, not only you, but everybody else that wants to. I'm not gonna do anything about it. I'm not gonna protect American democracy. You're right there with them in a press conference for the whole world to see. Pathetic, absolutely pathetic. More.
So far that I know, virtually none of it related to the campaign, and they're gonna have to try really hard to find somebody that did relate to the campaign. That was a clean campaign. I beat Hillary Clinton easily, and frankly, we beat her, and I'm not even saying from the standpoint, we won that race, and it's a shame that there can even be a little bit of a cloud over it. People know that, people understand it, but the main thing, and we discussed this also, is zero collusion, and it has had a negative impact upon the relationship of the two largest nuclear powers in the world. We have 90% of nuclear power between the two countries. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what's going on with the probe.
The probe concluded, just divorced from you, it concluded that Russia was trying to actually hack into our votes. And he said it was a disaster for our country. Not that Russia was hacking in, but that we revealed that Russia was hacking in. He said, well, now it's hurt our relationship because we found out that they were trying to subvert our democracy. Well, I don't want that to hurt our relationship. Should we have kept it hidden? Yes, he says you should have never done the probe. You have done a great job of serving Putin. You must be so proud. And I know that there are voices on the whatever left. I mean, they think they're the most progressive. They're not. They're just the most, if you ask me, the most irrational. And there are clearly a lot of voices on the right who are like, oh no. No, if you criticize Russia, that means you want World War III. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I don't want any hostilities. I want them to have summits, but I don't want our president to go out there and go, you trying to take away our democracy, bravo, it was our fault. I apologize, I deeply apologize. What happened? I thought he was an alpha male for the right wingers. Turns out he's a beta. Turns out he's getting cucked by Putin on television in front of the whole world. Oh, I'm sorry for doing the probe. I'm sorry for doing the probe. Just interfere anytime you like, yes, sir. It doesn't mean we want us to do military action against Russia. It doesn't mean we want World War III. It just means, hey, can you take some sort of corrective action so that our democracy is not in danger by the Russians or anyone else? Or what's your proposal? What's the alternative? We just do nothing. We just go, oh, okay, great. Hey, anyone you like, Saudi Arabia, whoever. It's open season. Just come in and try to get all of our voter databases. Have fun. Okay, more of this insanity.
A reason why the Democrats lost an election, which frankly, they should have been able to win because the Electoral College is much more advantageous for Democrats, as you know, than it is to Republicans. We won the Electoral College by a lot, 306 to 223, I believe. And that was a well-fought battle. We did a great job. And frankly, I'm going to let the president speak to the second part of your question. But just to say it one time again, and I say it all the time, there was no collusion. I didn't know the president. There was nobody to collude with. There was no collusion with the campaign. And every time you hear all of these, 12 and 14, it's stuff that has nothing to do. And frankly, they admit these are not people involved in the campaign. But to the average reader out there, they're saying, well, maybe that does. It doesn't. And even the people involved, some perhaps told mis-stories, although in one case the FBI said there was no lie. There was no lie. Somebody else said there was. We ran a brilliant campaign, and that's why I'm president. Thank you.
Putin's got to be thinking, how did I get this lucky? Okay, I got this schmuck over here defending me to no end. I don't even have to say anything. Here, American president, tell us why the Russian interference was awesome. Great, yes, I ran a great election. It was so fantastic. Don't worry about the Russians at all and them trying to interfere with our democracy. Who cares? I had 306. I did a great job. The Russians are great. We're trying to have a great alliance with them. Putin's like, continue. Okay, all right, now we're gonna get into even more interesting stuff. Watch this.
In an appropriate
did you want President
framework.
Trump to win the election, and did you direct any of your officials to help him do that?
Да, я хотел, чтобы он выиграл. Yes, I did. Because he talked about bringing the U.S.-Russia relationship back to normal.
Question by a reporter, did you want Donald Trump to win? Putin with at least a clear answer. Yes, I did. I wanted Trump to win. And look at that, lo and behold, Trump did win. Now, again, it has not been proven that that was determinative. I think that the social media that the Russians did is a little overhyped. But the election was so close, almost everything was determinative. This is Putin going like, what are you gonna do about it? I have your president right next to me. I control him completely. He's doing my talking points for me. Yeah, I wanted him to win, and I got it. I'm tough and I'm strong. This is my beta, okay? And so I'm just gonna tell you I did. There's no consequences. Got you. Okay, we continue.
Just now, President Putin denied having anything to do with the election interference in 2016. Every US intelligence agency has concluded that Russia did. My first question for you, sir, is who do you believe? My second question is, would you now, with the whole world watching, tell President Putin, would you denounce what happened in 2016, and would you warn him to never do it again?
So great question, obvious question, very clear, and a really easy answer. Even if you want to obfuscate, it's easy to do it. Is he gonna take it? Of course not, watch.
So let me just say that we have two thoughts. You have groups that are wondering why the FBI never took the server. Haven't they taken the server? Why was the FBI told to leave the office of the Democratic National Committee? I've been wondering that. I've been asking that for months and months, and I've been tweeting it out and calling it out on social media. Where is the server? I want to know, where is the server, and what is the server saying? With that being said, all I can do is ask the question. My people came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be, but I really do want to see the server. But I have confidence in both parties.
You say you're tough. You say you call out Russia. So great, here's an opportunity. We're not saying start any hostilities. We're just saying he's right there. Can you say, hey, we find what you did to be problematic? Hillary's server. Hillary's server? What are you talking about, Hillary? He's right there. Do you hold him accountable at all? I just asked the question. No, as president, you don't just ask a question. So if we were up against Hitler, I'm not saying that Putin is Hitler. I'm just using an analogy. If we're up against Hitler and Neville Chamberlain goes in and goes, hey, Hitler, do you have any intention of taking Poland? And he says no. Okay, he denies it. He strongly denies it. My job is just to ask questions. Look, I don't want war, okay? And I want diplomacy. But your job as president of the United States is not just to ask questions and go, oh, I guess he said so, it must be true. Sometimes people like Kim Jong-un, who's a dictator, runs concentration camps, lies to you. Ooh, even if you thought he was an honest actor. Okay, even if you think he's not in the back pocket of Russia, then he's monumentally stupid. Like, I don't know, Putin is a guy who was a former KGB spy, obviously incredibly sophisticated. There are instances where we have some alliances. There are places where we disagree, but obviously I'm going to be careful with this guy. No, I just asked him the question and he says he didn't do it. He says this, and so I don't know why they say that it might be Russia, but I don't know why it would be Russia. Over the top, man, over the top. So, okay, there he is in the press conference, not holding Putin accountable, saying he doubts the entire intelligence community and everybody, including the Republican Party. He doubts every single part of the United States government, but the Russian government he believes. We have an American president who says the American government is foolish, stupid, totally wrong. The Russian government that tried to interfere in our democracy is wonderful. I believe them, I don't believe us. If a Democratic president had done that, my God, the fury, the hearings, the etc. Best case scenario is he's a childish buffoon of a man. But I believe that is true, but I believe that it is also obvious. It's so obvious. The only reason that if you don't acknowledge it, is because you don't want to see it. You have blinders on. No, I think I would have gone up there and said, oh, Russia's wonderful. They should hack into our elections all the time. It's great. Oh yeah, we're the idiots. They're wonderful though. But me in his back pocket, no, fully independent. How could you not see it? All right. So we're not done yet, almost there, okay? So wait till you get a load of this one, watch.
But I don't think it can go on without finding out what happened to the server. What happened to the servers of the Pakistani gentleman that worked on the DNC? Where are those servers? They're missing. Where are they? What happened to Hillary Clinton's emails? 33,000 emails gone, just gone. I think in Russia they wouldn't be gone so easily. I think it's a disgrace that we can't get Hillary Clinton's 33,000 emails. So I have great confidence in my intelligence people, but I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today. And what he did is an incredible offer. He offered to have the people working on the case come and work with their investigators with respect to the 12 people. I think that's an incredible offer.
An incredible offer. Putin offered to put spies in the middle of our investigation of him. What an incredible offer. What an incredible offer. If you don't think he's corrupt, then you have to conclude he's the dumbest person we've ever had as president. I mean, this guy I'm investigating and my agencies are, and he says he'd like to put in agents that help that investigation. What a wonderful offer. Congratulations, MAGA guys. Your best case scenario is your president is, forget one of the dumbest presidents, probably the dumbest guy ever elected into office. The reality is he's both corrupt and doesn't know how to cover up because he is that dumb. It's both, the answer is both. But wait till you get a load of Putin at the end rubbing it in. They ask him, do you have compromising information on Trump? If he didn't control him completely and he was slightly nervous and he didn't have him in a GIMP outfit, he would say, no, that's ridiculous. He never says no. Watch.
Does the Russian government have any compromising material on President Trump or his family?
And now to the compromising material. Yeah, I did heard these rumors that we allegedly collected compromising material on Mr. Trump when he was visiting Moscow. Well, distinguished colleague, let me tell you this. When President Trump visited Moscow back then, I didn't even know that he was in Moscow. I treat President Trump with utmost respect. But back then, when he was a private individual, a businessman, nobody informed me that he was in Moscow.
He didn't say no. He said, yeah, I heard those rumors. I didn't even know he was in Moscow. Was he in Moscow? How simple is it to say, no, that's ridiculous. Of course we don't have compromising information on the US president. What a preposterous question, right? Oh, I heard that. With that nice little smile of, what are you gonna do about it? I own your president. There's nothing you could do about it. That's him rubbing it in. Later, for good measure, he brought in George Soros. Not Trump, Putin did. Sprinkling a little anti-Semitism. He's like, how do you know that Soros didn't meddle in the elections? He said, and in an earlier interview with Megyn Kelly, he had said, maybe it was the Jews in Russia that did it. So in case you weren't sure about the anti-Semitism. Why does he say that? He's like, well, it wasn't me. And on top of that, I'll get some more right-wing votes in Russia. And we use the same trick. We run against the others, people who can easily be scapegoated, whether they're Muslims, whether they're Jews, whatever it might be. But hey, squirrel, look away. Don't look at the real problem. And get a load of how ridiculous that is. I mean, to talk about rubbing it in. Putin's thesis is maybe George Soros interfered in the election to help elect Donald Trump, but Soros, you say, is the most liberal guy there is. Why would he help Donald Trump? It doesn't have to make sense. We just have to scapegoat someone and move on with our lives. Because what difference does it make? The US is never going to hold us accountable. You had every opportunity to, and you didn't, because I control your president. At least now we know, Young Turks. Thanks for listening to this podcast. You're only halfway through, so hold, stay right here. Just want to remind you, if you want to get all 5 segments of the Young Turks commercial free, these are just 2 of them. Every day we do it. So go to tytnetwork.com/join and you get the whole 5 segments, 2 hours, ad free. Do it now. Back on the Young Turks, you guys have a million great comments. Unfortunately, we have too much content here today. I'm just because of the Bernie Sanders town hall. Real quick, Jim Lawrence says on YouTube Super Chat, extra irony, asking Amazon specifically to lobby against Trump. Great point, because he hates the Washington Post and hits Amazon all the time. And then just a fun one, Neurological says Salty Cenk is the best Cenk. Okay, good to know. All right, over here, let's do more commentary, okay? All right, so a woman goes into a CVS, not the beginning of a joke, the beginning of a unfortunate story about the state of America. Her name is Camilla Hudson, and she runs into a store manager, and his name is Maury Matson. So let's show you Maury Matson. He's gonna get animated because he thinks that Camilla might be up to no good. And so you see both of them, and so what was the essence of the problem? Well, they say Matson claimed that he did not recognize a coupon that Hudson was trying to use, which led to his calling the authorities. Interesting. I didn't know that was a thing you called the cops over. I thought you would say coupon's invalid, you got another one, etc. Now, it turns out the coupon was not invalid. It was a manufacturer's coupon. It was a perfectly good coupon. Calling the cops, that seems a bit extreme. But let's find out more context. Hudson said when she asked for Matson's name, quote, he became agitated and rude. Now, when you asked for her name when you were calling the cops, I think it's fair for her to ask your name. Hey, you're calling the cops on me. I got a normal coupon here. What's going on? And she went on to say, quote, I had 0 concerns about the police being called. Now, look, if you're the store manager and you're about to call the cops on someone and they say, here's how you spell my name, and I have no concerns about it, and it's over a coupon, at that point, does it register that perhaps you're making a mistake? No, he picks up the phone anyway. Now you're gonna see his hand shaking here because he got nervous when he started calling the cops. Camilla Hudson says in our Facebook page, that's not a condition he has. He wasn't like that before. In fact, he called the cops the first time. She didn't get that on tape. And the cops said, yeah, that's not a thing, and hung up on him. He called back on the cops, and the cops, by the way, like, give the credit to the cops in Chicago, because they're like, you want us to come arrest this woman for what you think is a bad coupon? No, right? So here he is on the phone with the cops the second time, and that's when she starts taping.
It's a female. She's wearing a green.
Tell them I'll be here when they arrive. That I will be waiting for them to arrive.
A white.
You can tell them her name is Camilla Hudson. I have ID and will share it.
Camilla Hudson. And it's probably spelled CAMILLAH.
You got it exactly, like the river.
Morry, MORRY, Matson, MATSON. African American.
Black. No, I'm not African American. I'm black. Black isn't a bad word.
All right, thank you.
I'm black. And I'll be right here. Who doesn't love that attitude? Well, unfortunately, a lot of people in this country. All right, a CVS corporate spokesman said that the company has, quote, begun an investigation and we will take any corrective action that is warranted to prevent it from happening again. They also went on to say, we have, quote, affirm non-discrimination policies in place to help ensure that all customers are treated with respect and dignity. My guess, a lot of the right wing will say, oh yeah, there they go again with the not discriminating. Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but a huge part of the client base for CVS and all the other corporations in America are African Americans, Latinos, Asians, Jews, Muslims, etc. They got to sell to all of us. That's why corporations have a lot of problems. But one of the things that they do at least get right is, hey, we try not to discriminate because it's counterproductive. Free market, that's what it calls for. But the right wing are like, non-discrimination. What are you angry about? Do you want them to have a discrimination policy? I'm not even sure what you're asking for. Anyway, I also wanted to tell you that because, look, it's not necessarily CVS's fault. If CVS sees this and goes, yeah, whatever, no problem, that was not an issue, then it's their fault, right? You got one random store manager in the middle of the country. What do? You go profusely apologize, which Camilla Hudson says they did. And you try to make it right and make sure that other people are not discriminating. Okay, so let's go to Morry Mattson. Who is he? Morry Mattson was a state delegate for President Trump's presidential campaign. Of course he was. And is running for alderman. Great, looking to be a politician. That's according to the Chicago Sun-Times. Can't wait for that. All right, more details on him. Mattson is politically active as a gay conservative, interesting, who's restarting the Illinois Log Cabin Republicans, which had lost members and shuttered after splintering over Republican politicians' efforts to take away their right to marry. He supported Donald Trump in 2016, obviously. So he's like, look, guys, I know they used to hate us, but I think they don't quite hate us anymore. So can we go to like maybe supporting them as they hate others? Well, that seems like an interesting way to go about it. So he apparently was politically active in leading an effort to build a waterfront bike path to a beach near his home. As part of that effort, he got the government to make the beach's old seawall a historic landmark. That sounds like regulation. And worked to convince his racist neighbors that improving the beachfront would not mean they saw an influx of people from the south side. Well, that's nice, and we're giving you the full context. So that was him doing a good thing, and I'm in favor of bike paths. Okay, an opponent of his expensive bike path went to look at the signatures for a ballot measure and discovered that 5 of the 13 pages, the signatures were written by him. Oops. Mattson reportedly admitted that he had signed some of the signatures himself and used the address of the CVS where he worked for names. Mattson also told the local news site that he illegally collected the signatures over the span of a year instead of in the allowed 90 days. In other words, voter fraud. That's signature fraud. It's a little different. Election fraud, definitely. And he could be facing charges on those. And look at that. Oh, we're against regulation unless I want a bike path. Oh, they're doing voter fraud unless I'm doing the election fraud. And I don't know, man, you got a manufacturer's coupon. I better call the cops on you. All right. And is it a Trump supporter? Most definitely. Try to help him win the election. That's the state of the right wing in America today. All right, we got to go. We got Bernie's town hall next. So stay right here. We'll be right back with our whole panel looking and showing you the town hall. Come right back. Thanks for watching what I hope was a lovely edition of the Young Turks. Now, you know that is 2 of the 5 segments that we do because that's free. We want to have you support independent media and come watch the whole show that we do every day. That's 5 segments overall, no ads at all. That's at tytnetwork.com/join. Come become a member. Thanks for watching either way. Thanks for listening to the full episode of The Young Turks. Support our work, listen ad-free, access members-only bonus content, and more by subscribing to Apple Podcasts at apple.co/TYT. I'm your host, Cenk Uygur, and I'll see you soon.